Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Bf-109 T-2. This is a currently 3.0 BR Rank 2 premium fighter in the German Air Force's tech tree. The Bf-109 T-2 currently costs 1,000 Golden Eagles when not on sale, and comes with 10 backups along with the vehicle itself. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this navalized fighter, including its stats, how it plays, I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel this vehicle is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. To start, I'll place its stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its rate of climb, its maneuverability, and its armament. Now for how it plays, though some quick history on the plane first, because I find this variant to be especially interesting. The T-2 is actually a somewhat denavalized variant of the Bf-109 that, along with other possible aircraft carriers, was supposed to serve on the German carrier Graf Zeppelin. Because this never happened, and because many of the planes were already built, much of the equipment meant for carrier operations was removed, though the airframe, including the larger wings on this variant, stayed the same from the T-1 to the T-2. In fact, the T in the T-2 stands for Träger, which means carrier in German, though they were based on the E or Emil variant of the Bf-109. These planes largely served in Norway, as they were able to take off and land on shorter airfields than typical Bf-109s, as Norway had relatively few long runways. With that said, the T-2 is, in large part, a standard Bf-109 E4, as it shares the same exact armament, secondary ordnance, and stats on the stat card. There are some differences, however, and these largely swing in favor of the T-2. For example, the T-2 definitely appears to handle better and maintain speed better at low altitudes while turning compared to the E4 that it's based on, at least per my testing. This test was done at around 150 meters of altitude and 50% throttle in a full turn at 250 kilometers per hour. While the E4 lost some altitude and speed, the T-2 maintained altitude and even slightly gained speed. Further, it is easier to land, at least in my experience, which is usually tricky with Bf-109s due to their thin landing mechanism. On the other hand, the T-2 has somewhat lower roll rate than the E4 that it's based on, which can hinder quick directional changes whilst dogfighting, though again, the T-2 does appear to be more maneuverable and faster in a sustained turn than the E4. Regardless, this is a fighter through and through, the armament being composed of two powerful 20mm MG-FFM cannons and two MG-17 LMGs is enough to destroy fighters with ease, and so long as you're able to keep enough ammo with your 20mm cannons, of which only carry 60 rounds per gun, you can even take out bombers. Still, those cannons run out of ammo extremely quickly, as they only have enough for about 7 seconds of sustained fire. Once gone, the two LMGs have plenty of ammo to keep you going, but they're barely enough to destroy contemporary fighters, let alone anything bigger, and that's only after a lucky pilot snipe or many hits. Because of this, taking your enemy by surprise is extremely useful, and thus boom and zoom tactics are the best way to utilize the T-2. Because of its excellent climb rate, you should be able to match the altitude of any enemy aircraft, if not totally exceed it, by the time actual fighting starts. Once you do this and select your unwilling targets, you can boom down on them, take a few shots with all of your weapons, and safely fly away, as most aircraft around this BR are typically about as fast as the T-2 at best. This should allow plenty of quick and easy kills. Makes it an actual dogfighting, which you should do immediately after booming and zooming, and you can easily outmaneuver most similar BR aircraft. In all, you can pretty much play this plane however you want, and you should do well. You can even bomb bases and do decently, as you can get about 3/4 of a base with a 450 kilogram bomb load, though the 250 kilogram incendiary bomb will be able to destroy a base entirely. I would just do this after the match is largely settled, and you can switch loadouts at the airfield. Also, if you want a good idea of how to play this plane, or you just want gameplay for something like the E2 or the E4, which is very similar to this plane, I have a video where I get numerous kills with every Bf-109 in the German air tech tree, so consider checking it out. Now for close air support, this plane is decent, at least for a fighter, but nothing special. You can use either a single 250 kilogram bomb, 4 50 kilogram bombs, or if you're feeling silly, a 250 kilogram incendiary bomb. Personally, I would just use the 250 kilogram bomb, as the 50 kilogram bombs are really only useful against unarmored targets, or if you land them more or less directly on the enemy. The 250 kilogram bomb allows for not only some wiggle room, but you can also get numerous kills with a single drop. After this, performing air cover is pretty easy, as again, this is an excellent fighter, though you can also strafe against open top or unarmored vehicles with some success. Now with all that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses, and first for its strengths. This vehicle has an excellent rate of climb, among the best at this BR. Second, it has a fairly good armament so long as you still have 20mm ammunition. Third, it has excellent maneuverability. maneuverability. For its 4th strength, it has good top speed relative to BR, nothing incredible but pretty good. And finally, it has premium RP and SL bonuses. Now for its weaknesses. The engine overheats fairly quickly when using WEP or War Emergency Power. Second, it has a middling roll rate, a little bit worse than what you see on the E4. For its 3rd weakness, controls start to lock up beyond 650 km per hour, though of course more so beyond 700 km per hour. This means that you have to watch your speed in a dive pretty closely. And finally, the 20mm MG FFM cannons only have 60 rounds of ammo per gun, which is bad. Now with all that said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. And first, for dogfighting and air RB, I give it a 7.75 out of 10. This plane is easily among the best fighters around this BR, even more so than the BF-109E4, which I would give probably about a 7 out of 10 for dogfighting. The simple reason is the maneuverability of this vehicle, especially at lower speeds, as the longer wings on the T-2 do help with that quite noticeably. Sure, the 20mm cannons do not have a good amount of ammunition by any means, but while you have access to them, they make the armament extremely powerful for this BR. Even just having 2 LMGs is still enough for skilled pilots to get a decent amount of kills or assists, especially due to the outstanding maneuverability of this aircraft. If you can keep peppering enemies with those LMGs, you can actually get a surprisingly good amount of kills. Mix in a fantastic rate of climb, and you have one of the best fighters around this BR. The only reason why the score isn't higher than a 7.75 out of 10 is because of its limited top speed, of which is more or less on par with most similar BR fighters. I would say possibly even a little bit higher than them. Its controls lock up in a high-speed dive, and it has a middling roll rate. Otherwise, this plane would probably be at least an 8.5 out of 10, which is rare air for this BR. Now with that said, for close air support, I give it a 3.5 out of 10. In short, the T-2 is pretty bad for close air support, but at least it has a useful bomb in its 250 kilogram bomb. Otherwise, the 50 kilogram bombs are usable, but just barely, and you need to be precise with them in order to do any real damage to an enemy vehicle. Strafing is also possible, though with the insufficient ammo with its 20mm cannons, it kind of puts a damper on it. Rather, after using your small payload, you'd be much better off just landing either at your base to rearm or performing air cover. Now with that said, overall, I give it a 7 out of 10. Yes, I know, I'm barely factoring in my close air support score into my overall score. The reason for that is because this is essentially a pure fighter, and the fact that it has any usable payload at all is beyond what one could normally expect of it, especially at this BR before we start getting into more fighter-bomber variants being introduced. Personally, I might be a bit biased, as the BF-109s are likely my favorite prop fighters in the entire game to play, but the BF-109T2 is easily among the best fighters in War Thunder around this BR, and can even perform CAS, albeit a bit poorly. Now with all that said, do I recommend the BF-109 Traeger Zwei for purchase? Yes, I do. For only 1,000 Golden Eagles, this is a pretty decent deal. It's also probably the best aircraft in general relative to BR of all the German premium rank 2 aircraft, and possibly even rank 3 aircraft if you consider the fact that it can carry a decently sized bomb for CAS. This does not make the T2 very versatile, but it is versatile enough where you can possibly justify its purchase to use primarily in air battles and occasionally in ground, especially if you don't have any progress in the German air tech tree. Quite honestly, I don't feel that there is a better purchase in the premium section of the German air tech tree until you reach rank 4 with the DO-335B2, which I consider to be one of the best CAS aircraft in War Thunder relative to BR, as well as a fairly capable plane for air combat. You also have the JU-288C, which is obviously a Silverline printer, that thing is legendary, and the great FW-190D13, which almost fills similar roles to the BF-109T2, at least relative to BR. Other considerations aside, I don't think that you'll find a better premium around this BR than the BF-109T2, at least not in this tech tree. It does almost everything that you can need, including intercepting bombers and performing close air support, albeit in limited bursts. This alone makes it a nicely capable aircraft for this BR, let alone its excellent dogfighting capabilities. So yes, I recommend the purchase of the BF-109T2 and give it my Tankenstein seal of approval. Between the history of this plane and the actual usefulness of it in War Thunder, this vehicle may well be the gem of the Tusk Force major update. Now with all that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video, of course, if you liked it, and commenting on it with your thoughts on the video itself, and of course on the BF-109T2. Also, please consider subscribing if you like this kind of content. Either way, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.